It's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective. It's my perspective. Yeah, yo, am I wrong or is it just you? Or did my life show me some things that gave me my view? And if I went through what you went through, would I be you? I don't know. That's too many questions with no answer, but plenty chances for many lessons. Am I willing to learn that it's all perception? That the picture that I paint ain't the one that you sketching? So can we disagree without drawing a weapon? Long as I can understand that it's just your perspective. Yeah, it's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective.
Welcome back to My Perspective. I know it's been a lot of talks about where you at, what's going on. So guess what? You got your wish and we are back. The only difference is we don't have two shows anymore. It's no My Perspective Monday or Friday. We have combined them together to just the My Perspective show. You will see some old faces, also some new faces, but the same fun conversations. And we're going to get into a great topic today, especially after all the things that has happened coming to the end of the year. The topic of discussion that we're going to hear many different perspectives on tonight is politics, religion, and sports. How do we have these conversations without it what? Causing an argument.
Well, I
Because
have
we
a
know those
question before
nasty
you.
dudes
I
will
have a
come out
question
with
before you
those
get into that.
conversations.
I have
What's
a
that?
question before you get into that. When you say new faces and old faces, are you talking about Takesha and Russell?
I'm pretty
Whoa,
sure
whoa, whoa, whoa!
you
Come on
know.
now.
Whoa.
All of them are beautiful, fine, handsome, or whatever terminology you want to get into. So it doesn't matter if you're older or new. It's okay. But we're going to get into this topic of conversation because we know those three topics, no matter where you are, is going to cause someone to have an uproar, an attitude, or something. So, how do we have these conversations without it causing that attitude that comes to an argument? Who wants to start us off? Because we had new faces. So guess what? How about we do this? Let's introduce some new faces. Because I'm an old face. Let's start with Ian. How you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
doing well. How's everybody else doing today? My name's Ian. I live up in Cumberland, Maryland. I'm 50 years old, and I'm here to give you my perspective on anything that you ask.
All right. So we got those 50-year-old genres in there. Okay. So we're gonna see if we can get some genres that say yes or no to Ian's perspective. What's going on, Takesha? What's happening?
Hello, I am Takesha. I live in North Carolina in the Raleigh area, and I am 41 years old. And I'm looking forward to giving my perspective on this show.
All right now. Okay.
There
So
is
we're gonna get
no
some
way. There's
perspective.
no way. There's no way that baby's 41 years old.
Auntie, you know what they say? Don't crack. What? 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 Okay. So we got the 50s, we got the 40s, and I'm also representing the 40s, in between the 40s and 50s. Jenny, how's it going?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. Introduce yourself.
I am Jennifer Seymour, and I am also in my 40s. So, big whoop for the 40s.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
42, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm here to give my perspective.
Love
Maybe
it,
it
love it.
make somebody open-minded.
Yeah, so it's looking like the women are representing the 40s. Okay, I see it here. Hey, what's going on, Rusty Russ? What's going on, Russell?
My name's Russell Eggers, and I'm the oldest in this group. I'm a young 69 years old.
Yes.
At least my kids think I'm younger than I actually am because I act like it.
Hey, I love that.
And I
Young at
have
heart.
prescriptives. I've
Oh,
got my opinions just like everybody else.
absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna love to hear the perspective. So now we got 40s, 50s, and 60s handling it in here. What's going on, Daniel?
Hey, hey, what's
Hey,
going
hey.
on? I'm here in the lovely state of North Carolina. I'm 44 years old, and I'm here to give my perspective.
Oh, okay. 40s are representing tonight on this topic. So who wants to get into it first? Because everybody knows me, but just in case, I guess I should. I'm Tila Cole. I'm one of the OGs to my perspective. I'm in my 40s as well. And we are going to give our perspective on this topic, and it's going to be a lovely conversation.
I
Now,
think
Ian,
since
I
it's
heard.
just past November, might as well start with one of the three. How do you talk politics without getting in an argument?
How do you talk it? Politics. So we're gonna start with politics out of the three. Okay.
Well, I think mostly I don't open my mouth too much about politics because it gets me in a lot of trouble.
Uh oh. Uh oh. Why does
So,
it get you in trouble?
well, because I don't believe like a lot of people. I give them my opinions and they don't like it. That's tough. That's mine. And I do what I can do. And my wife tells me to shut up, so I do.
Uh oh. So you definitely close your mouth when she tells you to shut up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So are you ever able to get anything out during this argument?
Yeah, if I run it in real fast.
So,
And I'll
so
tell
if you
you
want
what, it's hard for a fat man to run.
oh
But I
wow.
can run quick when I got to.
So when you run it in real fast, do they actually hear what you're trying to
They
say
hear
when
me
you
as
do
I go
that?
by.
Oh wow.
Mm.
That's not good.
But
Anybody else have that problem of not being able to get their points
I
across?
I just feel like you need to listen more than you speak when it comes to politics.
Mm. Why you say that?
When we have get-togethers, there's certain people in my family that I can't do it. I just have to listen, bite my tongue,
Mm.
go with my feelings, and let it go after that.
Oh wow.
It's just too hard sometimes. Really
That,
is.
that can be
Oh
so hard though. If you're sitting there listening to nonsense, your brain is my head be about to explode sometimes.
yeah. 'Cause you don't ever
Yeah,
butt
yeah, it
in.
is.
You don't ever butt in like, you know what, hold up. Look, today I have to say something.
Well, I'd like to speak on that part. I
That
mean,
just means
Yeah.
that I just separate myself from it. Like,
Okay.
I just don't choose to agitate it and keep it going. So I
Hmm.
just let it go. Just keep my opinions to myself. Let it go. Let it go.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
easier that way for me.
Okay. A
when I
little pass.
saw what the topic was going to be for today, I couldn't help myself but do a little research. I'm
Oh,
always digging into it, right? So
okay.
we're talking about keeping your calm or not getting angry, right? We're
Hmm.
talking about religion, sports, politics, and your conversations that you have on sensitive topics. I mean, what we're speaking to really is your ability to stay calm and what your calm is and what ultimately decides that factor for us, your perspectives and your hard realities, what you see as your hard beliefs, where your background is, what you were raised and how you were raised, the situations you may have been around when you were a child into your adolescence, into your adulthood.
Do you think
And
it
that
changes? That's a good point, Daniel. You said like
all
your
of that
adolescence,
changes.
your family. Do you think it
Absolutely.
changes as you get older just by hearing it?
Absolutely. You
Yes.
evolve as a human being as you grow and as you listen. And active listening
Hmm.
is really what it's about. I mean, your ability to stay calm in any situation is always about that active listening. People are
Hmm.
often too involved in what they want to say immediately, thinking about what that other person is saying for a moment or two, but then having it ready in the chamber for what they're about to say in rebuttal to their opinion. And really, what it is their opinion. You can't get
We
mad
have
about
we
somebody
have
else's
to
opinion.
your points. We have a person in our chat that's coming through saying, "Are you saying everyone has a limit when it comes to your conversations and how what happens in that conversation when it comes to leading to an argument? Are they
I mean,
limits?"
everyone has a limit with everything. And when you're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about religion or politics, absolutely.
Well, and I
Mm.
think a lot of it too, Tila, has to do with judgment that everybody thinks that they're going to get. For the opinion that you have, there's always going to be somebody that thinks different.
Right.
So, being a human, it's automatic judgment,
Right.
not seeing someone else's perspective as your own, and that's perfectly fine,
Yeah.
but you can't judge them for how they react or how they want to voice their opinion.
Absolutely. What about you, Takesha? How do you feel
Um,
about that?
well, really, the politics thing, I just sometimes it upsets me. So I don't even
Mm.
engage in conversations like that because, like they say, everybody has their own opinion. Everybody gonna
Hmm.
think the way they want to, and then like when you're having conversations as far as like debatable and opinions, it's always going to be some kind of like argument if you continue with your side and then everybody wants their side to be heard, and it's just a big mess. So I mean, like they say, there is a limit. You have to know what to say. Depends on who you're talking to, because some people you
Hmm.
know who you can't talk to about certain things, and how they go off, or how they're going to respond to like certain conversations. So I would say you do have a limit, and it depends on who you're talking to.
I like that
You,
too because
yeah.
it goes to a point where if you know it's going to be a sensitive subject, if you kind of know you're going to get into this maybe around the the round table for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you're not going to agree with Uncle John or Aunt Deborah, you have to prepare yourself for
Hmm.
what is to come, right? So you
Absolutely.
have to be able to have that space and that limit,
Mhm.
and you have to know how to actively respond to the things that may anger you or vex you.
Absolutely.
Aunt Deborah, I
Ian,
don't know why we got to bring my mama into this, but
uh-oh, uh-oh.
Oh
So
man,
Ian,
oh man.
this is a great one that goes into it. Black Feather Intuitive says, does it annoy you when people put opinions over facts?
Oh, to
So
no
I
end.
will. I'll answer that. It does a little bit,
Little.
but to me, when I look at it, it takes me about a
Jeez.
minute to figure out whether the person that I'm having the discussion with knows what they're talking about, or they're just regurgitating something that somebody else has said.
Oh, I
Oh,
love that.
regurgitated.
If
Yes.
you
The
have
vomit.
facts that back up your statements, I'm much more apt to listen to what you have to say. If
Absolutely.
you're open to accepting the fact that we might not agree,
Yeah.
we don't have to yell and scream about it. If I can say, I think this because of this, this, and this, and you say, well,
Hmm.
I think this because of this, this, and this, you're going to find some kind of common ground.
There's
And I
always
Right.
common ground. You're absolutely right, Ian.
nine
supposedly,
out of 10 times, as soon as somebody starts getting agitated and starts getting argumentative, they already have the feeling like they're losing that discussion, right? They feel like they're in a
Yeah.
position of loss. And depending on how you feel about it, you can bring them right back to even ground and be like, hey, we're not fighting about this. We're just putting our points across.
Right.
But like I said, the majority of people take the first thing they hear and run with it. They don't do any back checking on it, they don't do any research on it. And then all of a sudden it's like, I know this thing because they said it on this news channel. And I was like,
Do you
okay.
think it's harder? Do you think it's harder when it's more of a professional setting or more of a personal setting
I
Okay,
think
that you
so
can debate these things
I think
without
the
it becoming
setting
an
should
argument?
dictate how you cover the conversation. If you're at
Exactly.
work and you're ready to throw your computer, you've already lost that fight,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't
Yeah.
be talking about that stuff at work. Keep it out.
True.
Right. Right. Because that has been part of a lot of people's ethics and bylaws at work that you don't discuss certain things because can become something that is major and cause people to go to throw hands, get fired, and things like that. So definitely, I feel like the professional side of things is
Yeah,
harder to talk about, politics
right.
especially.
And MJW could not resist throwing a jab in the comments on me.
Right. He said he will
Right?
argue with you all the
He
time.
argues with me all the
There
time,
he
but
is.
as soon as he gets upset, I know I'm winning that discussion.
See, and that's you just said that twice. Boom. So you just said you're winning a conversation, and somebody feels lost in a conversation, and that's another huge problem with how we conversate, how we talk, how we
Yeah.
communicate these days. Everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to win. Everyone's
Yes.
ready to throw fists. Everyone's ready to swear on their mama. And I think it's more about active listening and
Yeah.
responding with intellect, like you said, facts. No fact checks. I'm not going to watch the news for my facts because their news broadcast is all about ratings now. I remember MSNBC and NBC and Dan, whatever, what's his name, Dan Rather
Andrew,
being
the
on
anchor.
there at night watching with my grandparents, and he's just reporting the facts. Right
Hmm.
now, it's about opinion and popular opinion and what they think the viewers want to watch.
well, we've also learned some of the reporting on the facts back then. And this is the sad part about getting older. You
Uh
start to
oh.
realize everything you've been told is a damn lie.
hmm
So,
Yeah,
even when we were younger,
Yeah.
narratives were being pushed, things were being broadcast a certain way. It is out of hand now. But
hmm
what's happening now, I believe, is an overcorrection of
Mm.
people realizing when you get older, damn, most of the crap I've told me was a stupid lie, was a lie.
Right.
Yeah.
yep,
It
I
was and
agree.
it's to appease someone. It's not necessarily
Well, it's
their
about
opinion.
control.
What was that?
It's about control.
Control.
That's a big part of it about control.
It's about ratings on their news and stuff,
True.
Mhm.
and who gets the
True.
bigger rating, and that's where they tell the best lies.
Ooh,
You know,
Oh,
the best lies.
Well,
The
I
best
really
lies.
that's just my opinion.
There
going
it
back to
is.
what we were saying, I'd like to give an example as if I'm going to use Daniel and I as an example. Let's say we're
Okay.
having a discussion and we disagree,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say the majority of the time, the person you're discussing with just will not accept that there is another way to look at something than the way that they're looking at it.
So how
And
can
it's
you encourage that person to kind of respectfully?
You have
by
to be open minded.
you got to point out facts. You know what? Facts don't lie. Just like they say, science is not going to lie to you. If you have a fact that you can vet, right? Not just this is a fact because I'm saying it's a fact, but you can
Mhm.
back it up and show. I think it's not really you proving your point, it's them being more accepting of there is another way to look at things. If you look at things
Until you come to the
holistically,
flat earthers who just won't accept facts as
even
true,
when they're proving
right?
themselves wrong with their light, you know what I'm
And it
saying?
can also
Yeah.
depend
Still
on
don't
where you're
accept.
getting the facts from, right? Because you can get facts from many different places, and it still can contradict each other.
That's right.
Exactly.
can you believe in 2024 we're still doing the Earth is not flat debate?
Oh my
Not the Earth
God.
is not flat.
It
Is it
is
round? Is it
absolutely
flat?
insane.
It is. But sometimes you just
Come to
got
me with
to
science and
respectfully
facts and
agree
prove
to
that global warming's
disagree.
not true.
Yeah, sometimes when you have
Sheila,
certain
I agree with that.
conversations, you have to agree to disagree and say, I respect your opinion because everyone has one, right? And doesn't
Yeah.
mean we always have to be on the same side of things, especially with politics. Because there are things, especially with politics, you can agree with certain things and not agree with others and still continue to, be respectful and say, okay, look, we're going
I
to
just would be more
leave this
apt to concede their
conversation without it
point.
becoming heated.
I would just be more apt to concede their point if they are fact based and they can prove it, and it's not just them flapping at the gums.
You know the best thing you can do? You can use a combination of what Jennifer does and what I do. The best thing to do, because the listening part is hard, especially if they're saying a bunch of nonsense. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you're listening, if you let a person talk enough, they'll say some things in their real thoughts that they never let get out. And you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I see who
That's
you
where that
really
came from.
are. And then number two, you just kill them with follow up questions. Instead of debating your
Yeah.
point, just ask them follow up questions until they confuse themselves or
Yep.
run
There it
into a
is.
wall.
They'll paint themselves in a corner they can't get out of.
Yep.
That is
Yes.
the best. That is
Takesha,
the
has there ever
best
been a
method
time,
I
even
think
if it
I've heard.
hasn't been like politics? I mean, it's so many conversations we can have that can lead to an argument outside of sports, politics, and religion. How do you convince a person to kind of lean more towards your side and listen to you instead of coming at you, Takesha?
Well, when somebody asks me my opinion or they ask a question, I always say, "Well, I see what you're saying, but this is what I think." Because if you don't say, "Okay, I see what you're saying," it's like it's automatically coming off as, "I don't believe what you're saying. What you're saying ain't right." So most of the time, I'll be like, "I see what you're saying, but my opinion is this." And then I don't like when people ask you your opinion and then they don't like your opinion. It's kind of like, why'd you
What
even
you
ask?
want to hear my
Because it's
opinion
like,
for?
yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
So but that's what I
Right.
do. Most of the time, I'll be like, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's always a but. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, even though you say that other person has to be open to what you're saying, you also have to be open to what the other person is saying. So, it goes
Absolutely.
both ways, I think.
It
Absolutely,
does.
absolutely. Because you can learn a lot just by listening. Even if you don't agree or don't see things from another person's side, it's still educational. It's something
And
you
it
can
makes you
learn from the
think.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets your mind
Mm-hmm.
going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jenny, what about
Yep.
you? Is there a time where you feel like how do you can de-escalate the conversation? I just, my opinion does matter. I'm not saying yours doesn't. How do you do that?
A lot of situations, like when I'm over at people's places and I'm over at my family's house, I let them say what they need to and I let them get whatever they want out
Hmm.
of their opinion. But at the same time, I will walk away gracefully because their opinion matters, yes. But in the end, you're still going to have the same thought that you had. You can be open minded,
Hmm.
but unless, like y'all are saying, the facts are there, you're learning something, that's the only way your mind is actually going to change. So in order just to stop the argument or to de-escalate the situation,
You
you
bow out
gotta let
gracefully.
it go. Just agree to disagree and
Mhm.
know that there's not a right or a wrong. It's
Right.
just an opinion.
So
Yeah, tell them, hey,
Yeah.
your opinion matters. It's a stupid opinion, but it still matters.
well,
Okay, now you
There it
trying
is
to
right
escalate
there.
it instead of de-escalate when you
Yeah, I
say
don't want
stupid.
to
You know,
escalate
stupid
that.
is
I
a
just
trigger
want
word.
to walk away gracefully and let them have their
Yes.
opinion.
Stupid is a trigger word for a lot of people, even though sometimes they are that, but they don't like to hear it, right?
so
Yes.
I think again, if we're talking de-escalation, I think what Takesha was saying is valid because there is an art to conversation, and you can twist
There is.
things to the way you want that conversation to go by
Yes.
the way you say things. If you
Hmm.
start the particular words and say, "I see what you're saying," and you validate those things in your
Mhm.
conversation, that calms them down. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to buy what they're selling, but it gets them to calm down a little bit. They start feeling like they're in a position of at least equal ground, and they're maybe not getting their butt handed to them in a conversation.
Mhm.
And if you want to keep carrying on, there are ways to tweak the conversation to de escalate. But sometimes
Yeah.
it can be a lot of fun to just get them to shoot to the moon and implode on themselves. And then when you're done, it's like, did that go the way you thought it would? Nope.
Oh, so Ian, you're the type of person like to rattle people's cages. I see.
Yes.
It depends. It depends on what mood
Who
I'm
said
in.
yes? Who
Once
said
I,
yes?
if you find me on the high ground, you are not going to push me off of it. And I'll let you sit there and dig your hole all day.
I love it. I love it. So, out of religion, politics, and sports, which one you feel like is more of an easier topic to discuss and have a even conversation instead of an argument with?
I think sports, because everybody understands that if I'm a Washington fan and you're a Dallas fan, we are going to see things completely opposite. And there are
Yeah,
going to
the
be
Dallas fans are going to be wrong.
exactly right.
Uh-oh.
And it's fact based. You can go to stats that will either cement your position or send you off the edge because you can sit there and say that Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the history of football and be like, yeah, not in the last 20 some years, they're not. I'm not arguing
But
that
we
they've won
still
five
got to
Super Bowls.
root for them.
Yeah,
Still got to root
and
for
that
them.
goes back, Jenny. Exactly, Jenny. That goes back to what Daniel was saying. Because if you live in a household and that's what you grew up with, being a diehard sports fan, whether it's basketball, football, or whatever, and you grow
Green
up
Bay
with that, that's
Packers.
just what it is,
Nope,
right?
because this is
Yeah.
America
Yeah.
and you have choices. You
Wait a
don't
minute.
have
You
to
do, you do.
Absolutely.
Because
is
let me tell
their
you
root
something.
for.
I grew up in a
You do
household
have choices. You
when
do have
when it
choices,
came
and
to
this is America.
basketball. When it came to basketball, it was like
Uh oh.
die hard. Either you were a UNC college fan or a Duke college fan. So my pops was Duke and my mom was UNC. And the kids were in the
Oh,
middle trying to figure
that
out who
Yes,
do we
happens.
go
opposites
for in this
do
moment.
attract.
You think you got it bad? My wife is an OU fan and a
Ooh,
Oklahoma Thunder fan, so I get to listen to her complain about everything that the refs did wrong. Honey, they're the refs. They do what they want.
they do, but they don't
It's
always
always
have
the
the
rest.
correct calls or the fairest calls either. So I get what she's talking
I
about.
know,
I think we
but
missed
oh, I'll tell
something.
you what. You try to say anything about the Thunder or OU, you're
Oof.
in for an argument with her.
So
I mean,
Big Russ, who is your favorite
she's
team then?
mine. I'll
Yes.
be honest with you. To be honest, I don't care.
That was
I
a good
played
that was a
football
good
in high
answer because she's
school.
gonna see this.
I wrestled in high school. I don't care. It don't matter to me.
So
And
yeah.
that makes my wife so irritated because I won't sit down there and root with her. I said, honey, I'd soon go in there and watch something else on TV than to watch that.
Hmm. That's the way you keep a marriage together. I see.
That's
Just
right.
don't root for anybody but whoever she's going for.
So wait a minute,
That's the
Jenny.
reason I got 5 TVs in this house. I can go to any room I want and watch different.
Jenny, you're a Cowboys fan,
I am
Huh?
a Cowboys fan.
and Ian, you're a Washington fan.
I was a Washington fan up until 3 minutes after Doug Williams announced that they are now the Commanders. and
Oh
now
wow.
I'm kind of a
Oh my
man
God.
without a team,
Oh,
and I
you're one of
just
those people.
enjoy
Never
football.
mind.
Well,
Let's
you
move
can
on.
jump in
You're
shit.
one of those people.
No, I'm slowly getting back into it.
Yeah, you can get over it. You got rid of the racist name. It's okay. You'll live to fight another day.
I'm not worried
Ian,
about
come on. You
I
could
don't
not be
worry about
mad
it
at
being
the
a
name
racist
change
name.
if I'm still rooting for my Cowboys and they've sucked for the last how many years? Come on now.
24.
Uh-uh.
Well, okay, there you go. They've sucked for that long, and
It doesn't
you're
matter.
upset
That means you
because
are
they
a
changed the name. Come
die-hard
on.
fan.
Are
So,
you a
okay,
fan?
a little bit more context. While I was in the military, I traveled all over. So I lived in Seattle for a while. Did I root for the Seahawks? No. I stayed
Okay.
with Washington.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was in Colorado. Did I root for the Broncos? No. Because I was sticking with my team. I just don't agree with the fact that you have to bend everything. Do you make a mascot out of something you hate? Let me
Yeah,
ask you
I
that.
agree with
Yeah,
we've done it
I
all
agree with
throughout
that's
history.
happened.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I grew up in the great state of South Dakota, right outside of the Indian reservation. And guess which team a majority of those Native Americans root for?
Yeah, I get it.
Well,
Redskins.
Green Bay
whatever
Packers.
sounds like them.
You can only root
Not the
for what's
Packers.
out there, but you have to also remember when you're talking about teams like the Seminoles and all of those teams, those are Indian names. They're
Mm,
not using, like, for instance, I understood because I would be offended if your team was the Chicago Blackskins.
mm,
I
Well,
get
then
it.
why
Yeah.
did the Cleveland Indians change their name? Because
Because
that's not a really
because
offensive
the
name.
character that, remember you said about research, the character they were using
yeah.
as the logo has a racist background. There's
Okay.
a reason. It's a
It's
character
always a
for
reason.
somebody. We're just in these days. Some people say we're getting soft. Yeah, but we're also getting to the point where you can't just say crap to people that you used to freely get to say. You can't just walk up on the street and call Jenny, "Hey, you dumb broad, come over here." It used to be acceptable in some
Right, right.
time in this country. Okay,
I
so
just think there are bigger things to deal with, and there are better ways to approach those negative issues than changing names of
but how
teams.
you solve the bigger issues is
Is
by
it solved?
solving smaller. No, but you have to start. We learned about micro and macro, right? You can't
Hmm.
just change a big issue by attacking the big issue. That's never worked. It always starts
Right.
small.
Got to
I
start
think
smaller and work your way up.
I like
Does
Morgan
it?
Freeman's answer on that is how do you fix it? You stop talking about it.
He said that, but you
It's the
also have to do your
president.
research. When he gave that interview, about 5 years after that interview, he changed his
He
assessment
just
of that
suppressed
interview.
the issue. He didn't change the issue. So does everybody feel like sports is an easier topic to talk
I
about?
think it is.
I mean, out of
Okay.
religion and politics, sure, religion is probably the most one with charge to it because there's so many different opinions about religion. So yeah, sports is
Yeah.
probably about the
Yeah.
easiest one to
Well,
talk
the
about.
sad thing is the one they're going to know the most about is probably sports.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
might be true, but it's easier. And all times you can fuss and argue in sports, and it still be a fun argument.
Um, I don't know why I typed that. I could have just said it. I really think all three of them just really depends on who you're talking to.
That too. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
agree with that. I can agree with that. Absolutely,
I can talk to
absolutely.
Jenny about the Cowboys, but I can't talk to my dad about the Cowboys. Oof.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, you know who to start the conversation with, or whoever starts the conversation within the circle. If you like Jenny said, I'll just sit back and listen, won't share my opinion, or I can really get into this conversation. You definitely know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, I definitely know who I can and cannot discuss anything with, really.
Jenny's just
Religion.
trying to avoid putting her hands on somebody. That's all.
Well, she
Sometimes,
gracefully bows
yes.
out.
Yes. I mean, I look sweet on the outside, but sometimes my opinions can get me, like Russell said, in a whole lot of trouble. So, yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's a reverse Sour Patch Kid. She's sweet on the outside and sour on the inside.
Oh wow,
Absolutely.
are you gonna take that, Jenny? Is that it? Is that
Well,
right?
sometimes the shoe fits. I mean,
There you
it
go.
just does.
I definitely say my kids
It
sour
is.
patch a lot, so I use the word sour patch a lot. So I get it. I
Well,
get it.
I have a shirt that says it's a throat punch day because
Ooh,
sometimes it's just one of them days. It
exactly.
just really is.
It's so
And
funny.
you
Ever
letting them
since
know off
Jenny
rip
said,
what
ever
not to
since
do
Jenny
today.
said the Cowboys, Ian has come at her twice now. Ever since she said the Cowboys, and I have noticed that.
And she doesn't really have a rebuttal. She's just calm with it.
No,
Yeah.
See, that's how you
That
keep
was
it
hard
from
to crack,
becoming an
Michelle.
argument.
It really is.
Is it?
Zakisha, do you have a favorite team?
I do not. I've heard so many. My whole family is Steelers, so I've heard so many arguments, and I was just like, I'm not interested in it. I mean, I don't have a team. Look, I used
So
to
you,
root for the Miami's only because it was Dolphins. That's it.
you
Just
like
say,
Dolphins, so you voted
Yeah.
for them. Okay.
just,
I think one of the
just you
good
got to
things.
come up like I do and say, I just don't care.
I'm with you. It don't matter.
I
Whoever
think
wins,
one of the
wins.
good things about sports, though, is that everything that you're dwelling on is the past, and every year it's a wide, clean slate, and you just never know.
That's not
Especially
true.
now that the parody's kind of coming around.
That's not true. Every year we know the Cowboys are going to be a disappointment.
All right, all
Who's
right
going to
now.
get Jenny now?
It's still trying to get you to come out
Oh,
of
look
your
at this.
What
See?
are
sludge.
you
Hey,
Oh
Homer,
man,
yes, they're trying to get me to come out.
gonna
there it
Her
is,
The
right,
button
right
have to
she
push
there.
a
hasn't
whole
gone
lot more
yet.
than that.
She
Well,
says it's gonna take more than that.
full
I think with
disclosure, I
Jenny,
married a
you,
woman from Dallas. We're not married anymore, though.
Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. So let me ask
Uh-oh,
this.
she might have
So
made the right choice then.
Jesus.
uh-oh. There we go. That might have
Yeah,
stopped
by
something.
leaving, I made the right choice.
No, I said her.
There you
She
Oh,
made the right choice. She just couldn't hang on.
Oh, we might have started something here. Ooh,
I'm so
ooh,
I think you
yeah.
stepped on something
Here it
there.
comes.
Mm.
The landmine.
All for fun, all for fun.
You know, let me go
Oh,
on and
oh,
sip
oh,
my tea
don't
for a
worry.
little bit because that was getting a little heated.
I have a question for you all. What about like when you're trying to talk to someone about a current event? And what's come out over the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of stars and celebrities go down for doing naughty things, right? But you'll have the fans that run hard for that person. So whether you're trying to talk about Diddy or R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein or anybody, and they're just so blind. They're like, none of that. They're out. It's a witch hunt. They're out to get him. That's not what happened. Like that starts an argument with me. Like, are you serious?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when the
I
facts
think when
I
it
mean,
comes
you,
to entertainment and
sometimes
celebrities,
you just
it's
can't
more of an
fight
argument.
stupid, you know? No matter
Yeah,
how
what
many
do you
facts
get
you
with
bring to the table.
investigative?
Absolutely, dude.
Nothing.
Now I truly believe out of politics, religion, sports, and entertainment will get people more heated than any of those.
And that's
Yeah.
ridiculous because none of us even really know these people for real.
Right.
Like we arguing about people we don't really know for real. And I mean they have all this money and they popular and they doing what they want to and we sitting here worried about their life. Like this
And
I'll be
they
like,
probably have no idea who we even are
no,
Exactly.
Probably
or
nothing.
even
Yeah.
care.
Absolutely.
none whatsoever.
And there's nothing they're gonna
Not a
do for
care
us
in
for
the
being on their
world.
side.
Here's the thing: is I think that most people they live vicariously through their heroes that are on TV. They try to emulate those people, and then when it goes south, now they feel like they're going south too, and it's like they try to do damage control for that person. That's got probably a whole crew of people trying to do damage control, but you're going to be the one that affects change? Probably not.
Nah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I agree with that. I agree with that. When you live vicariously through people, though, but everybody knows the internet, TV, and things are not always for real. And I don't understand why people don't ever see that. It's like they're doing what they feel like you love. There's an algorithm there. So how do you protect your mind spirit? Because people are feeling like, yeah, all this stuff is real, and I want to be like them, not even knowing who these people are to their core.
Are you telling me they put stuff on the internet that's not true?
Right.
Ooh.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's another debatable topic.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy because even with all the stuff that's going on now, it just keeps feeding into things, and when it feeds, it festers, and then you got people, especially like Beehive. The Beehive, I get so tired of hearing about.
Oh,
Oh
hey,
my,
hey, 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 we're not
I'm
doing
just
that.
saying,
We're not,
you
no,
hear Beehive,
no, we're
boy,
not
people
getting
will get
canceled.
offended.
No, stop it. Stop it,
Swifties,
Kayla.
oh, they will get offended.
Kayla,
You hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
I'm drowning you out. We've said this 3 years ago. There's one fan base we're not talking
I'm
about.
telling you, those are the ones that I'm telling you that when people will go hard with.
I
Certain
know
ones.
another one that's on the same boat. The T
Uh-oh, who's that?
Swizzle crew. You
Does it
start
have
talking
four
bad about
letters?
Taylor Swift.
That's why I said the
Oh,
Swifties.
yes.
Oh, is that
Yes.
the Beehive? I
No,
thought.
Beehive and the Swifties. So Beehive is Beyonce and Swifties is
Yeah,
Taylor Swift.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, those are the two that you will get people like, hold up.
When you got about 13 to 15-year-old girls throwing stuff at you, you know you done something sour.
Those aren't the worst ones. It's grown ass people.
Well,
That's a fact. It is.
That's facts. That's
you
facts.
just educated an old man. I didn't know that's what they were called.
Yep.
That's because you don't get on the
I had
internet.
no
enough,
idea that's
Russell.
what it was.
He gets on the internet, but that's not what he's looking up.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, leave it there.
Did you have an idea?
Oh,
what
hey,
they
hey, hey,
may-
hey! I know
may
what's
have
getting
been?
on that subject.
Hey, Big Russ, did you have
I
any
get kicked
idea
off the
what
show.
Beehive, what Beyonce's name of her
She
fans
did
would
not
be?
stop
Or
bringing
Taylor
this.
Swift?
I did not know that.
No, I don't see. Look, people still getting heated just by hearing the name. I haven't even said anything negative. I just said that is the
talking
two
about
things
her.
that people will get in an uproar about if you talk about them.
Well, that's
Especially
what I said.
entertainment. Yes, ma'am.
Honey.
You know, not being on the internet that much, I don't know all this stuff. So I'm learning stuff right now.
I love it. Hey, we learn something every day. Every
Russell
That's what
day.
we're
still
here
has a sundial for a watch, people. So let's give him a little leeway.
When Russ logs on, it still goes. Not fail.
I used
So we talked
when I
about- we
started,
talked
that's
about-
what it was.
So we
I
talked a
haven't
little bit
been
about
now, little
politics. We talked a little bit about politics and a little bit about sports. So how do you feel about the religion conversation? Because we were getting into, I could get really into entertainment, but I know maybe not. You know.
Well,
So when it comes to religion, what is it about religion that gets people into a conversation that they feel like they got to back away from, or it causes an argument?
Well, I think religion is probably the touchiest of the three because you can be of a certain denomination and someone else can be of a certain denomination. But that's something that the majority of people grow up in the religion that they are in. And that is
Mhm.
something that is deep rooted in their entire life. And to start saying negative things about it, I think you're really just touching home. So I think you really need to be cautious of how you approach those conversations and understand, because if you really look at it, the beliefs are going to sync, right? They're going to believe a majority of the same things. They might just
Right.
approach it differently. So
Mhm.
to start that conversation, hopefully you're coming from a point of wanting to learn about that other person's belief and not coming from a point of, I'm going to drive this down, because there's
Right.
no good that's going to come of that.
I agree with that.
No,
When
you
it
can't
comes to
put
religion
anything on
conversations, I feel like you got to find the commonalities in the two. If you have differences in denominations, find your common and similarities that come with the religion so that you can relate to each other and respectfully have a conversation about it. Because, like you said, a lot of things do come back around to the same thing. Jenny, I think
a
you're
lot of times when you talk about all the topics, but when you talk about religion, it's something you're passionate about. And then, like he said, anything that you're passionate about, and somebody tries to tell you this ain't this and this ain't that, then it's gonna be some kind of uproar. But I just feel like, as he said, when you talk about religion, most of the time, all religions do still end up. We all have a God. It's sometimes those people's like there is no God, and that probably will be open to something that's because you don't believe in God. Like, I'm trying to get you to believe, and you don't believe. So that, I think, would go into something completely different. But like he said, like, different religions most of the time end up still being, we all have a God.
Mhm. So in the comments, we have Dwayne saying, when someone uses religion to justify their bad behavior or misguided judgment of people, are you saying that makes it a bad thing, a good thing, or that causes an argument?
It causes an argument.
It absolutely
And
does.
that's something that's been used for centuries. People will misquote things in their religious texts and then use that to demonize or oppress or misguided about
Force it on you.
individuals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a terrible stance as far as I'm so glad Dwayne is here, because at least we know we're not just talking to ourselves, right?
He's attacking everybody today. Okay.
I'm not attacking anybody.
Yeah, he's all over it tonight.
Thank
man.
you
said
so
I'm
much,
glad he's
Dwayne,
here.
for joining our
Damn it,
conversation.
every single
Because obviously
time.
we're not here, Ian. Okay, thank you.
if I do something terrible and then I blame it on my religion, I'm taking my personal responsibility and accountability away. And I think that's an issue throughout the world right now is people are
Throughout
not
history.
accountable for what they do. Stand
That's
up. If
been
I
an
do
issue
something
throughout
bad,
history.
yeah, I'm not going to blame my religion for what I did. I'm just not going to do it. People
Yeah,
will.
but so many people do. I mean, wars have been started. Genocide has been, done. So many different things have been done in the name of religion. I mean, we've got wars right now in the name of religion that have continued, since the beginning of time, even.
Yeah,
And
but
we
okay.
use that.
There's plenty of stuff that's happened in the past that we will all agree was not right. But that doesn't mean that
Absolutely.
we need to still be using that as an excuse today.
Correct.
Yep.
What do you say
I
about that,
couldn't
Big Russ,
agree
when it comes
more.
to religion
Couldn't
conversation?
agree more.
Well, I was born and raised a Catholic,
No
but I
way.
got married in a Baptist church
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
because me and the Catholic religion just didn't quite jive together, like it should. And my wife said, "Well, let's get married in my church." And I said, "Let's go for it." And basically, she believes in the same things I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just done in a different way.
She's got a
Right.
better choir. She's got a better choir. That's what it is.
Uh-oh. That's another debate of
What?
religion when it comes to choirs and and the musical side.
Well, they got a better choir. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Because I definitely couldn't sing, and they had to sing it in church, and I don't have a voice for singing.
Mm. Mm. So certain, like you said, with religion, it's just the practices may be a little different. The way they deliver the
They get
message
it.
may be a little different.
Yeah,
But it all falls
it's
down
a
to the
little
same
different,
thing.
but
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to the same thing. They believe in God. I believe in God. You know. Now they believe a lot of them that Jesus done a lot of stuff. Well, we know Jesus was on earth, but there
Did he
you
did all
go.
that stuff, did he? Cool.
But
Well,
then
here we
again,
go.
Russ, you can ask people when you say I believe in God, and they say which God,
That's
whose
that's
God.
exactly
So that's
it.
the thing. So then everybody's God is different.
Well,
So that's where the
you know,
biggest thing comes in. It's a different name for who's your God, who is that person, who is that.
right. It's like the Catholic Church. God is God, and then Jesus was his son. But a lot of people pray that Jesus do this, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine and dandy. I don't care. If you get the same results, you get the same results.
I have a question for you all. All of you are parents, correct?
No.
Yes.
True.
Yes, I
How
am.
about this one? When people tell you how to raise your child.
Oh my God.
Oh, wait a minute now.
Get out of
That's
my
when my
lane.
buttons
Get
go
back in
off.
yours. Raise your children how you're
Okay,
going to
you
raise
really
your
trying to
children.
start an
I'm
argument.
doing just fine.
No,
I'll
but
tell you something.
here's the funny part. The people who try to tell, like, I don't have children, and so people who try to tell me, well, if you have a kid, you should do this, this, and that. And I look at them like, your kids are out of control. Why would I listen to you?
Right.
It
Yeah,
Exactly.
tends to be
that's the
the people that have the out of control children that are trying to tell you how to raise their kids, or even better, the people who don't have any freaking kids at all want to tell you how you should do this and you should do that and this is because of this and this is because of that. It's like a marriage counselor trying to tell you how to fix your
Nah,
marriage when
see, I'm
they've
gonna
never
argue
been
with
married.
Daniel. I'm gonna argue with Daniel on this one. You know why that's always a terrible argument? I have had to help more parents in my lifetime teach their freaking kids what to do because they were incapable of freaking doing it. And I don't have kids, but we've all experienced being a kid, and a lot of us work with kids as an extensive level. And just 3 days ago, I had to tell a mom because she's like I hope she's not watching. Her son left the shirt and he's all torn up and he's crying. I'm like, okay, well, this is the time you teach him about responsibility because in 2 weeks he's going to have to come down here with about 10 outfits.
Yeah.
So this is his time to learn. And it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, why am
Yeah,
I
but
told? I don't have
Yeah, but
kids.
John, you have kids by proxy, man. You
Well, that's what I'm
you don't have
saying.
no kids. You've got
But
children by proxy because of what you do
but
and the
but we
lives you touch and
but
how long
that's
you've been doing it for.
but that's just been 5 years. But the thing
Doesn't
is,
matter. That's
we
enough.
no. But my point is, because you can't argue my point for me. My
Try.
point is, we all were kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all were kids.
Yep.
You
We
can't have
all have had
kids raising
experiences
kids,
with
man. They'll be
kids.
having ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Now,
No, but I'm
okay.
saying when you grow up, you look back on how you were parented and you can make an assessment on what you should take and what you shouldn't take. So when
And
I
you know what?
had
I'm
to
being
be in
open minded.
charge
I
with
can
my
take some of
nephew,
what you're saying and agree with it.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
when I was giving my nephew for 2 years, I had a basis on how to parent him for those 2 years that I had him as a teenager.
Yep.
Or else I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
So
Plus you have people with an outside lens, because of course we are
Yeah.
all, as parents, we have a certain emotional pull
Connection.
when it
Support
comes to
group.
things that we may not see that other people may see. So
Not my
sometimes you do
child.
have to listen and hear their perspectives on what they're seeing from the outside looking in sometimes.
that goes back to who you're talking to when it comes to
yep.
it
Yeah.
comes. I mean, because some people you can tell them, and some people you can't. So that's why I say it goes back to who and then how you say it. That's another
Yeah.
thing. Because if you come to somebody and say you shouldn't have done that, it's an automatic argument. If you be like, well, I mean, I don't know why you did that, but I think this will be a better way, then they'll receive it better. I think it's who you talking to and how you present it, especially
Yeah.
with parents and their kids, because them parents don't play about their kids. But like you said, they
Oh
don't
no.
always see from the outside perspective.
Yes, your
Yeah,
child.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I like that last
Keone
comment
says,
that you
yeah, the
had. Not
whole
my
not my
child.
child
Oh,
is
yes.
annoying. Yes,
Yes.
your child. Your
Yeah,
child is
Yes,
kids
bad.
your
are
child.
kids
Your
are just
child is
like us. There's a couple of
Yeah.
winners and there's a whole lot of losers.
Well,
Yep.
okay.
when you see a kid in public who's running around wild, where do you suppose they learn that from, or who enables that? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going
Yeah.
to get in somebody's face and tell them how to raise their kid. But if they
No, no.
ask me, I'm going to let them know they're doing it wrong if I think they're doing it wrong, but I'll tell them why. But
Yeah.
okay, like I
You have
agree.
no. I have to say, Ian, sometimes you have parents that do it right. It's just the kids just
Agreed.
do not listen. So
But
you can't
okay,
say
then
they're parenting bad. It's just that the child is just definitely deviant and
right.
not gonna
I
listen.
agree. But you would know that from talking with that parent. They're like, you know what? I've been doing this and I've been doing this and nothing seems to work. But they might be open to suggestion, right? Are
Right.
you open to suggestion to be a way to engage that, right? I have an
Mhm.
idea, not, hey, this is what you should do. Because it goes right back to what Takesha was saying before. How you say it is going to absolutely affect how they respond to it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Well,
But
I'm
if
one of
somebody
those
is
parents.
just
I'm not going
being,
to tell somebody else how to parent their child because you can't tell me. I'm one of them. I'm going to admit that I'm one of them. I'm not going to tell you what to do in your household because you can't tell me what to do in mine.
yep. But I agree with
Oh, and I
Keone
think
that you do not have to have kids to know how to take care of kids. All you have to have, one, you go off of what you learned growing up, because in every situation you learn something, be it what not to do or what to do, you have learned something, right?
Hmm.
You don't have to have the greatest upbringing to know a better upbringing.
Well, also, we know that we've seen cases where they're terrible parents and somehow the kid comes out great. And we've seen
Right.
Yeah.
great parents and the kids
Mhm.
turn. Where I grew up, all the bad kids in the neighborhood, we knew who they were. It was the cop's kid, the principal's kid, and the preacher's kid.
And the preacher's kid, the
Yes.
PK.
Right.
I agree.
And it was a result of being overly
Rebellious.
authoritative.
They're rebellious. They're rebelling against those strict rules in
One
the household.
hundred percent. I think that's definitely a trend that I've seen as well. When
yeah,
you have
because
too much, of an overbearing parent, too much of a parent who's constantly harping on that children, too much correction, over correction, that kid is going to lash out. That kid is going to rebel. And it goes the opposite way. When you said that you have children out there that the parents were, I don't know, not great parents. That's I guess that's the only verbiage I could use here on this platform. And the kids turn out great. That's because that kid was looking to do better
Mm-hmm.
than
They were
what
yep,
they
learning.
came up
Yes.
in. You know?
Yes. It's like everything that I saw my parents do, I would never do. I do not want to be like them. You definitely have those type of children that grow up and like, never, not me. They had a bad example to do something better.
Here's
well, and
another.
then you got the parents
Oh,
that just want what was not necessarily given to them to make their children better. So I think when you parent them, sometimes you can be overbearing, sometimes you can be the most helicopter parent, but at the same time, you still just want more than what you had for your
Mm-hmm.
child.
Well,
Absolutely.
you know
Absolutely.
what's the thing? And then since we're at the 9 minute mark, I'm going to shut up after this and let you guys do the rest. But here's two things. One, two things that makes this worse. I've said this before on this show. If you ain't shit and you know your partner ain't shit, y'all may not need to be having a baby. That's number one, because you're already starting him off or her off in the wrong direction. The second one is I think the biggest problem with any generation of adults who are after are the ones. My grandfather was good at this. He said, I'm going to teach you how to navigate the world that you're in and not the world that I'm in. Because a lot of grown-ups and adults and parents do that. You're still trying to help them navigate through 1990. It's not 1990 anymore.
Right.
Yep.
So that's another tool that I think a lot of, not a lot, but some people fail at doing. You keep wanting to raise them how things were done 15, 20 years ago when that
Hmm.
world doesn't exist anymore.
So how do when you have family, friends, coworkers that may want you to babysit their children, but you have
No,
different perspectives?
no, thank you.
I think
I
when
would,
it's an
I would,
upfront
I would
conversation,
tell. I mean, you might do that at your mama's house, but baby,
right?
you here with me.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got to.
Yeah.
If you stand with somebody, I mean, you can't change everything that the parent has put in place, and you're going to change some stuff that the parents do and don't want you to do. But if I'm babysitting your child is not going to run over me. And
Right.
if
Right.
they,
That
think
part.
that they are, then you just keep them at home.
And I
There.
think that is an upfront conversation when they say, "Hey, would you be willing to watch my kids?" Be like, "Yes, I'm willing to watch your kids. Understand that this is how I do things, and that is how things will
Right.
be done while they're with me. What issues do we have?" And that's sorting it out because, like Takesha said, that kid's not just going to steamroll me for however long they're with me.
Okay,
Hmm.
I lied.
No,
As
and not
long as what
only
I'm
that, I
doing
mean,
is
if
not
they're
unethical or immoral or abusive, I don't see the issue with it.
Okay, I
Right.
lied. I said I was going to shut up. I lied because Takesha and Ian just said something that sparked my brain. Especially when, like, I've taken care of people's kid and I'll tell them, they'll be like, wait, they did that? They never do that. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I just asked them to do it. Or
yeah.
my child doesn't like wings and we go eat and it's like, he ate wings? Yeah,
Hmm.
he was hungry. When your
Mm,
stomach
Right.
touches your
Yep,
back, you're going to eat.
that's one
And
thing a
it's
kid
always,
won't do is starve.
that's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
There you go.
They don't want to
But
hear
Very
then
true.
I think
it.
kids are more open minded sometimes when they're not with their parents. So some parents are like extremely strict. And sometimes I
Yes.
think kids may be a little open minded or a little freer, like when they're not with their parents, that they do
Hmm.
things differently. Or the way you say, can you go give me something to drink? Or can you hand me that? And the parent be like, give me that right there. Or, give me this. Like, it's a difference. So I think that's
Yes.
It's
why they
all in delivery. Again,
go
it's all about the delivery system, right? So if
hmm
you're asking a kid to do something instead of demanding a kid to do something, if you're putting it out there like it's a choice or it's their choice or it's their idea, that it's all about the delivery. Again, back to
Hmm.
the original conversation about how to stay away from being angry in politics or religion, or sports. It's all about the delivery and how you say things, how you approach the conversation, what tone, what inflection,
Yeah.
what cadence of voice you're using. And that's really down to the root cause of it all, how to stay calm with, your children or someone
Hmm.
else's children in a conversation about politics and a conversation about, hands off religion or, fact sports.
Right.
It's all about the delivery.
Absolutely. So before we close out tonight, I definitely have to ask Russ this, and maybe anybody else. Anybody else have grandkids?
No, don't be cursing
Oh
me with
yeah.
that yet.
Okay. So Big Russ, do you
Yes.
do you do things differently, or instruct or handle discipline with your grandkids differently than you did with your own kids?
Well, the only thing I can really say is, like, I've got a 18-year-old grandson that lives with me now, me and my wife.
Mm.
And he doesn't he wants something to eat. He wants something from McDonald's or I said, no, we're going to eat what's in the kitchen. Well, you ain't got anything I like. Then I said, you'll go hungry.
Hmm.
What?
Yep.
He doesn't go hungry because he finally gets in there and eats some of it.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I do notice that that's a big argument too when it comes to when parenting is how your parents raised you or did you is different with the grandkids. That's been a big argument as well when it comes to parenting. It's like, well, you didn't do that with me, so why are you so nice to them? Well, you weren't doing this. You always told me I had to do that. So in my household, I always used to tell my kids, remember when you walk through these doors, you're no longer at your grandparents' house because I will send you back, or we're gonna have a big problem because it is very different when they go to the grandparents' house compared to home because the rules are different. Even though you grew up with some of the rules that you're trying to instill in your children, and it's crazy. That's the biggest
I'll tell
argument.
you something about grandkids that I've found. I
Hmm.
can always send them home, and I don't have to deal with them no more.
Correct. 100%. And that's what anybody who's taking on taking care of or looking after somebody else's kid. I don't have to do it. You're asking me.
Yeah, I don't have to.
Exactly, exactly. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation about how do we handle arguments, whether it's politics we discussed today, religion, sports, entertainment, beehive. Oh, I didn't get an uproar that
Please.
time. Hey, or parenting. So I want to give some
Just
last, give out, just close out what you feel like how people should handle anything that comes up that may be a soft spot for people in conversation, whether it's a personal conversation with family, friends, or professionally at work. Let's start with you, Ian.
I think the key is to understand that people are coming from their point of view for a particular reason. Be open to the fact that there are other ways to look at things than the way that you might be looking at them. And if you can go into a conversation with that, I think it's going to be a much more social, a much more agreeable conversation, and it doesn't just have to turn into a straight up knife fight.
Love that. Love that. What about you, Takesha? How would you close it out?
I would close it out and say, you have to be open minded for one thing, and delivery. I always say, I get what you're saying, and I know I see what you're saying, but I think that's my closing.
Okay, love that. What about you, Daniel?
It's all about your tolerance. Know what you will or won't be willing to adapt to. Understand there are differences of opinions. Understand how you're going to react because you're an adult. Hopefully, we're talking about adults here, you know, and you already know how you're going to react to certain things. So if you're in that climate, understand and have tolerance.
I love it. What about you, Jenny?
Um, let gentleness and respect be your guide. Be open minded, like they've been saying. Just know that there's opinions from every single person, and you don't have to take it to offense. You can learn from it, or take it as just what it is, just their opinion, and be respectful. Just be you.
Love it. Love it. Big Russ, how would you close it out?
You guys have all used all my reasons up.
That's why I'm glad I went first.
Yeah, I mean, you took the big one right off the bat. No, it's about the same. You got to try to understand the other person and figure out where they're coming from, and that way you can maybe come to a mutual agreement somewhere in there.
Okay.
That's about it.
Love that. Love that. And I have to agree with everybody. I feel like respect is bottom line.
Mhm.
Just being, open to the conversation and actively listening. My parents always say that's why the Lord gave you two ears and one mouth. Sometimes you just got to be quiet, as a lot of you have said during this conversation. And sometimes you just have to agree to disagree.
Yes,
Sometimes our
ma'am.
opinions are just that, opinions, and we all have the right to them. So we have to respect and be kind and courteous to them. And then sometimes you just have to, walk away from the conversation because it's getting a little too heated. So you just have to know yourself, like a lot of you said during the conversation. Sometimes it's who you're talking to, so you know how to handle them. So it might be multiple ways that you do it based on the conversation. So I love this conversation this week. We talked about a lot. Hopefully, you all out there enjoyed our conversation. We would love to get your perspective on this topic as well. So drop your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Keone Productions and My Perspective Show. Next week, please join us again on Monday at 8 p.m., where they're going to discuss. The holidays are coming up, right? So, our episode next week is going to be about, are the holidays a happy time for you or a hectic time? So, think about that. And then we're going to join that conversation next week. Have a wonderful night. Take care.
Hi, everybody.